How many games will the Dallas Cowboys win in 2022? What's going on, Cowboys fans? It's Mitch here, of the Bottom Line View, here to break down the 2022 schedule for your Dallas Cowboys, game by game, giving you my prediction and giving you my record prediction for the season. Going through the tough matchups, the easy matchups, and determining which games you'll win and which games you'll lose. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL record predictions just like this. Also, hop in the comment section and let me know, Dallas fans, how you think the Cowboys will do in 2022. Will they improve upon a really impressive 2021, or will they decline and take a step back? Will they make the playoffs? Will they win the East? Let me know in the comment section below, and let's predict some games. Cowboys fans, it's time to predict your 2022 record. Let's roll. Starting with week 1, I will be at the game in Dallas. I'm very excited about it, going with my dad. It's going to be a lot of fun. His 60th birthday present. So, happy birthday to him. He's going to see Tom Brady beat his team. So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there to win that football game. I do think it should be a good game. I do think the Cowboys have the opportunity, like last year, to make it highly entertaining and to make it somewhat of a shootout. The question is, without Amari Cooper in the lineup at wide receiver, who steps up? Is it the rookie? Is it James Washington? Michael Gallup? What's his health like? And then, can Dak Prescott get this offense rolling early? The offensive line isn't as good on paper. Can they make it a good unit this year? In the run game, pass game, defensively, I do think there's a chance you struggle versus Tom Brady, as most teams will this season. But the defense for Dallas, losing some of the pass rush with Randy Gregory, I don't think is the biggest concern. For me, it's more so the secondary. And when you play a really good receiving core like the Bucs with so many options to throw the ball to, it's going to be challenging. So I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Bucs to pull that game off. Week number 2, you play another really good quarterback and a really good receiving core, which I think will be your weakness this year. You play the Bengals, and that is Joe Burrow time. So I'm going to take Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think they're the better team overall. I really love their offense. I like their new improved offensive line. I think their defense is underrated. So could you pull off one of these games? It's possible. I would say that the Bengals game is more likely, but either one, you could win in a one-score type game. And I think if you were to split and make this 1-1, you would be really, really happy about that coming out of the first 2 weeks. But I will say, don't be shocked whatsoever if you're 0-2, and don't be concerned about it either, because you're playing 2 of the top teams in the NFL, in my opinion. So that's all I'll say. Week number 3, you play the Giants Monday night. I think due to the fact that I have the Cowboys dropping their first 2, I think there's going to be some sort of sense of desperation to prove that the Cowboys are still here to be a good team in 2022. And I think they come out with a really good performance on Monday night in New York. So I'm going to say the Cowboys win that game. I do think the Giants will be better this year, and we'll get to that later matchup when we get to it. Washington, typically the Cowboys sweep Washington. I mean, Washington hasn't really been too tough of a game for you guys over the last few years. I want to say under Dak Prescott at quarterback, you guys have mostly dominated this series. So I'm going to treat that with the respect it deserves and say that the Cowboys win the first game at home over Washington to make themselves 2-2 and back to even. Week 5, you play the Los Angeles Rams. This game could be a potential upset. You guys could pull this game off in LA. I wouldn't be too surprised by that, but I got to go with the Super Bowl champs here. And I think, again, your secondary and overall defense does concern me a little bit with the balance of the Rams' offensive attack. Matthew Stafford and those receivers. Cooper Kupp could be a problem in this one. Defensively, they're fairly strong. They're not a dominant defense, but they're a creative one, a smart one, and they do have some playmakers like Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. So The Rams, I do think you would expect them to win that game at home. Then you play the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to say you beat the Eagles the first time you play them, even though it's on the road in Philadelphia. Again, the Cowboys have been so good in their division in recent years. I give them the respect, when it's deserved. So the Eagles are really good though. So this is going to be a highly anticipated game. This is going to be a game that a lot of NFC East watchers are going to be looking forward to, as the Eagles, I do think, are better on the offensive and defensive lines this year, which will give them the edge in these matchups. But I think Dak will steal one of these games. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in week 6. Week 7, you play the Lions. I think you should win this game at home. Detroit's not bad. On paper, they're better, I think. Jared Goff, though, is kind of bad. So if you can force some turnovers, some pressure, Dan Quinn's defense is known for creating some turnovers. I think that could very well happen here at home, and I think that could help you guys win this game. I also think that's a secondary that you can take advantage of with your weapons. Week 8, you play the Bears at home. I think you should win that game as well. I think the speed of your defensive line definitely helps contain Justin Fields. And then offensively, they've got a young secondary again, a defense that I don't think is as good as it's been in years past. You should be able to score at home. Week 10, you play the Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers. They kind of own you guys. Aaron Rodgers kind of just finds a way to beat you guys no matter what. So at the end of the day, probably the Packers by a field goal and another heartbreaking Green Bay loss. But it should be a fun game nonetheless. Week 11, you play the Minnesota Vikings. This is one of those games that I've got circled as one that could change your record. I feel like you could go to Minnesota and win. I remember the game last year where you started your backup and you won that game. So that's definitely in the back of my mind. But I do think the Vikings are definitely better on defense, and they've got a new coach, a new and improved team. I think the Vikings are tough to beat at home. So I'm going to just wait on that one. I do think that you guys will lose to the Giants this year once. I do think so. So this is kind of like where I'm at. So week 11 and 12, I feel like you're rather going to lose to the Vikings or come back and lose on Thursday night in a shocker a little bit to the Giants. Okay, I think the Giants are better. They've got a new coaching staff, which will help them play the Cowboys a little bit differently. And I think when their offense is healthy, they're actually very underrated. So I could see you losing to the Vikings and beating the Giants. I could see you losing to the Giants and beating the Vikings. Either way, I think you're probably going to drop one of these games. So let's just roll with that for now. Week 13, you play the Indianapolis Colts. I think you're going to lose to the Colts. I think the Colts are the better team here. Jonathan Taylor's a machine. I think he can eat against your defense, especially up the middle of your defense. I'm not the biggest fan of your interior defensive line. Your linebackers can be a little bit shaky at times, and I do think you can be ran on. On top of that, the Colts got a good defense, a great second level with fast linebackers to take away the run in the pass game, a strong run defense, pretty good pass rushers, Stephon Gilmore in the secondary. They're a good team. The Texans, you should beat the Texans. Week 15, you should beat the Jags. Week 16, you play the Eagles. I think the Eagles will beat you once. As I said, I think the first time, Dak Prescott steals it. The second time, the overall better team, in my opinion, which is Philadelphia, will win that game, as they probably will win the battle at the line of scrimmage later in the season. But the Texans and the Jags, I do think you should pretty easily handle those games against young, not great at this point, quarterbacks, and two teams that you're just way more talented than. Week 17, you play the Titans. Week 18, you play Washington. So, this one's interesting. I think that you will beat Washington twice. I think you're going to sweep Washington. You usually do. So, I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt there. Carson Wentz, though, maybe that's a new thing in this rivalry. Of course, he played for the Eagles for many years. So there's experience there playing Carson Wentz, him playing you guys. So there's familiarity. He's also beaten you a few times. So there's familiarity there. Week 17, you play the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. I'm going to go with the Titans on a Thursday night at home. I think Derrick Henry, just like Jonathan Taylor, they can play that power run game that's difficult for you guys to stop. I also really respect Mike Vrabel as the coach, and I do think Thursday night on the road is tough. So, the overall record for the Cowboys, no matter how you slice it, in my opinion, is somewhere between 8-9 and 10-7. I've got them right now sitting at 9-8. which would mean, like I said here, week 11 and 12, you rather beat the Vikings or lose to the Giants, and lose to the Vikings or beat the Giants. Either way, I think that's kind of how it goes. I think you're 9-8, which would put you around the 7th seed in the NFC. I do think you're going to take a step back. I don't think you're going to win the NFC East this year. I definitely have seen some regression from your roster, just the overall talent. I question a little bit your head coach and Mike McCarthy this year and all the rumors swirling about Sean Payton. I do typically see the Cowboys have one good year and one bad year under Dak Prescott, and this is a fairly difficult schedule where you do play some elite teams like the Bucs, the Bengals, the Rams, the Eagles twice, the Packers, the Vikings, the Colts, even the Titans. So there are some tough games, not the toughest schedule I've ever seen, but I feel like the Cowboys will rather just squeak in the playoffs or just miss the playoffs, and that's how I see Dallas this season. Let me know what you guys think. It's Mitch, the Bottom Line View. Appreciate you watching. Let me know in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.